We're waiting for Dezhung Rinpoche. We're expecting him any minute, so just give us a few moments. We're ready to start. A very good evening and a warm welcome to our chief guest of honor, His Holiness, the 42nd Kyabgon Gongma Trizin Ratnavajra Rinpoche, and to all the esteemed masters, Jetsunmas, Venerable Khenpos, Lamas, His Excellency the King of Mustang, and Dharma friends present here today. We are deeply grateful for your presence this evening to grace the launch of this precious book, Sri He Vajra Adamantine Joy, Theory, Practice and Instruction, translated and annotated by His Eminence Lama Chodak Rinpoche. I am Pratishta, for those of you who don't know me, and I have the great honor of being your Master of Ceremony and host for this evening. I am a student of His Eminence Mahayogi Sridhar Rana Rinpoche, and it is truly a privilege to be hosting this auspicious event at the invitation of His Eminence Lama Chodak Rinpoche here at Tharlam Monastery on this very special occasion. This event is momentous for book during the precious Lamdre teachings are based on the He Vajra Tantra. They could to release this book, then in the presence of their holinesses and other esteemed masters present here today. Second, which is a very important point in fact, is Tharlam Monastery, which has hosted several important teachings, is a legacy left behind by the third Dezhung Tempai Nima Rinpoche. It is especially auspicious that this book is being released at the very monastery that the third Dezhung Tempai Rinpoche began building, but was unable to finish before his passing. He had also wished to invite His Holiness Kyabgon Gongma Trizin to teach Lamdre here. And this important work and legacy have now been fulfilled by His Eminence, the fourth Dezhung Rinpoche, the supreme incarnation of the third. And without His Eminence's genuine devotion, motivation, compassion, and noble efforts, it would not have been possible for us to benefit from the Lamdre teachings. So we are deeply grateful to Rinpoche and all the Lamas of Tharlam for their tireless efforts in organizing this event and making it possible for thousands of people to receive and benefit from these profound teachings. And additionally, this is the first time His Holiness has bestowed the Lamdre teachings in Kathmandu, Nepal. This is a rare and precious opportunity for Nepalese, Tibetan, and international participants who have traveled from across the world to take part in this remarkable occasion. For Nepalese people, including myself, this event is especially significant in bringing authentic teachings back to our homeland. It reconnects us with the roots of our tradition, bringing teachings that were once lost to those who have long considered themselves Buddhists, but had lost sight of the true significance of these profound teachings. It is due to the great efforts of esteemed Tibetan masters, as well as the leadership of Byomakusuma Buddha Dharma Sangha, under His Eminence Mahayogi Sridhar Rana Rinpoche, who himself is a practitioner of Sri Vajra, that it has been possible for the Nepali community to access and practice authentic Vajrayana teachings, now available in both Nepali and English. And as part of Byomakusuma Buddha Dharma Sangha, I would like to extend our heartfelt congratulations to Lama Chodak Rinpoche on the release of this book. We feel deeply honored and delighted to have played a small part in supporting the initial publication of this text. And we also express our gratitude to Rinpoche for allowing us the opportunity to participate in this meritorious activity. And now I would in fact like to, we have several speakers today, so without further delay, because I believe His Holiness has to leave early, our first speaker for this evening is His Eminence Lama Chodak Rinpoche. He is well known to many, but for the benefit of those who may not be familiar with him, he is a highly revered Buddhist practitioner, teacher, scholar, translator, and author dedicated to propagating the Buddha Dharma in the West. A deeply devoted and experienced Vajra practitioner, Chodak Rinpoche brings decades of practice, study, and teachings to his work. And over the past 30 years, he has meticulously translated and compiled his latest book, Adamantine Joy, Theory, Practice, and Instruction on Vajra. And this extraordinary work reflects his lifelong commitment to preserving and sharing the profound teachings of Vajra for the benefit of practitioners worldwide. So now please welcome Lama Chodak Rinpoche.
Good evening, everyone. Namaste, Tashidale. Your Holiness, 42nd Ratna Vajra Rinpoche, and holy family members, particularly Jitsuma, Dhamma Kushola, who were very delightful to agree to come right from the very beginning. Sorry about the little delay, but because this is the final day, so we have a good excuse to stay a little bit late. But this is a very special occasion, Your Holiness, and as I mentioned, Dhamma Kushala and budding Jitsuma here. And of course, His Eminence Chogi Teaching Rinpoche 27th, and Dezhung Rinpoche here on his right. And then those of you who haven't met, Pakpo Shabdung Rinpoche on Dhamma Kusho's left, and Khenpo Chui and Dorje. You will hear from them a little later. But before I pass to His Holiness, because His Holiness had a very long day, and it's just that having him here, even just among us, seems fairly sufficient. But at least a few minutes to His Holiness, how actually. But because having to teach such a voluminous text like Lamdre, it wouldn't suffice time-wise to teach directly in English because of the large Tibetan Sangha, and because Dezhung Rinpoche has basically put Thalam Monastery on the map, world map, by hosting Lamdre here. And how could we not have the teaching delivered in the very original language in Tibetan? And I and fellow translators have the opportunity to hear His Holiness's incredible speed of reading and accuracy of every single syllables. But for us trying to translate even a quarter of it would have not be possible. But so today I have the opportunity to say a few words about the book and how lifelong it is, and which is connected with Their Holiness's teachings. Because if it wasn't His Holiness Sakya Kongma teaching, and late Dharma Kusho, who took a great effort to look after young His Holiness 41st to come through Tibet and make sure that he was introduced to the right teachers and masters, those who managed to flee in exile. People like me would have been playing in dust and probably lost somewhere. But because of Dharma Kushola's vision, I know for sure that how this holy blessed family has become a robust Con family members, giving us so much hope and aspiration, a reason to continue this very lineage. So all of us are blessed here. I remember when His Holiness Gongma Trijin gave the Lamdre in Purwala. That's in 1980. Your Holiness was maybe a 7-year-old or something like that, and I had no idea how you have grown to be. How a proud His Holiness, the whole Blessed Father, must be. Every time I look at this 3 generations, I couldn't believe that how much we have done well under their Holiness's guidance. So for someone like me, as a humble devotee who's got really no position to be anywhere, if it wasn't just touched by their teachings and their works and my small me the podium today, and being as early as 14 months ago to come to translate, which definitely gave me the momentous to finish this book. Otherwise, this book was always in the back burner. It wasn't really happening. Academically, I wasn't inspired to finish. And when I see very keen practitioners like yourself, English speakers, I almost feel for you, how much literate you are, but you can't read those Lamdre texts that Tibetan monks can easily turn the pages, all the 31 volumes at their disposal. You can't even have 1 volume. But yet you are more literate than most of the people who are supposed to be practicing Lamdre. So I was been very longing to be able to do some service in being able to do that. And had it not His Holiness' kind wish asking me to come, I would have not finished this book. So it is Your Holiness's very blessings that I managed to finish this book. But there will be many, many errors and mistakes because English language isn't standardized to cope with the very rich Buddhist concepts to be able to cater in modern English language. So please do not treat this as one of the revised, established, standardized translations that we have in Kangyur and Tengyur, which took 300 years to standardize. Even late Professor Jeffrey Hopkins struggled to agree with himself whether he should use which of the 36 words for defilements, for klesha. Disturbing emotions, affliction, defilements, and disturbing emotions, and list goes on. And he wasn't quite contented with any one of them. And I'm totally same in that regard. So please feel free to send me all the mistakes and let me know, because we will have a revised edition down the road. And I won't take now much time, because I will have time to take some questions at the end, rather, so that we do not keep His Holiness and the others whose speech would be much more on the authors of the book who I have translated. So I will have time to talk specifically relevant things if you happen to have some questions, so that might be more relevant because we have such a close bond here. So with this, without further ado, I would like to end here for the moment, and thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Rinpoche, for your kind words. Please may I now request His Holiness 42nd Sakya Gongma Trijin Ratnavajra Rinpoche to speak a few words.
First of all, First of all, I would like to say Tashit Delek to High Lamas and also to our Khenpos and Tulkus and all the Vajra brothers and sisters who have gathered here tonight to launch the book which is translated by Lama Chodak. So actually I just knew today that I need to talk. So generally speaking, precious and profound Lamdre, as you know, has 11 greatness, and as you know, the whole teaching from beginning to the end, the whole Lamdre teaching is authenticated by the four authenticities. And the first authenticity is the Buddha's teaching. And the second is the treatise, especially here it refers to the Vajra verses by the Mahasiddha Virupa. And then third, the Guru, and fourth, the experience, the authenticity of experience. Actually, the order has many different sequence or orders depending on different context. So this precious Lamdre teaching is based on a Vajra text. Vajra text also has three texts. The Vajra Root Tantra, which is also known as the King of Tantra, and then the common commentary Tantra known as the Samputa Tantra, and then the uncommon commentary Tantra known as the Vajrapanjara Tantra. So based on these texts, then there are many explanations or commentaries. These commentaries make it more easy for us to understand. We as an ordinary being, it is not easy to understand the direct meanings of the Tantra, especially like Vajra Root Tantra. One kind of verse can be explained in many different ways. Explaining the text based on samsara, based on path also like based on process of creation, and also based on process of completion, and then process of completion also has two, based on the path of secret empowerment and based on path of Mandala Chakra, the part of the third empowerment or the wisdom empowerment, and then explaining the same text based on the result. So one kind of verse can be explained in many different ways, so therefore it shows that this text is very profound and very sacred and secret teachings. So generally speaking, all the tantras, all the Vajrayana teachings are classified into the four classes of tantra, and Vajra Tantra is one of the Anuttara Yoga Tantra, and as you know, Anuttara Yoga Tantra also has three kinds or three types, which are known as the father line, mother line, or the method Tantra, and wisdom Tantra, and the non-dual Tantra. So method Tantra, for example, is like Goya Samaja, and wisdom Tantra is like Chakra Samvara Tantra, and the non-dual Tantra, for example, is like Vajra Tantra. Actually, Vajra in the Hermit Root Tantra itself, it says, which means He refers to the method side or the compassion, and Vajra refers to the wisdom side. So just by the name we can understand that this is non-dual. This is the non-dual of method and wisdom. So this non-dual tantra is very profound, and actually, as you know, there are four main traditions, and this one is known as the pit instruction tradition. And pit instruction tradition came down from Vajra Tara, Vajranarmaya directly to the Mahasiddha Virupa. And then, as you know, there are 5 great Indian Mahasiddhas in the lineage: Mahasiddha Virupa, Krishnaba, Dhammarupa, Avaduti, and Gayadhara. And after that, the first Tibetan to receive the precious Lamdre teaching is Drogmi Lotsawa Shakya Ishe. And he also came to India, and first he came to Nepal and stayed here for a long time and had Nepali guru, and from whom he received many teachings, and also the guru give advice to him how to do when he is in the noble land of India. So after Nepal, he went to Vikamalashila and studied for a long time, and then he returned back. But he didn't receive precious Lamdre teaching in India. When he returned to Tibet, and then he met Mahasiddha Gayadhara and then gave the teaching. So from Mahasiddha Gayadhara, the teaching came to Tibet, and Drogmi Lotsawa Shakya Ishe was the first Tibetan master to receive it. And then Drogmi Lotsawa Shakya Ishe passed down to Setun Kunrik, and then to Shangten Chepa, and then to Lama Sakya Vachemba Kunga Nyingpo. And in short, Shangten Chepa said to Lama Sakya Vachemba Kunga Nyingpo that you should not even say the name of this precious Lamdre teaching to anyone for 18 years. And then after that, you are the holder of this precious Lamdre teaching. And then after that, you have the right to write down or to Dezhung Rinpoche's Dizhi Tikpa. Actually, Dizhi Tikpa, this is also commentary on Havajara Sadhana, but it doesn't have many pages, but it is very profound. Mainly, it explains through the non-differentiation of samsara and nirvana, or through the view. Based on view, then this is explained. The sadhana is explained. So like the refuge teaching also is explained through the non-differentiation of samsara and nirvana. So that makes this commentary very profound. Actually, whether our practice is profound or not depends on how we practice. If you don't know how to practice, then even if we practice the completion stage, still our practice is not profound. But if we know how to practice, if we know the essential points of the practice, then even we practice the refuge, then still it becomes very profound practice. So whether it's profound or not depends on how we practice, not what we are practicing on. It depends on how we practice the text. So therefore, in short, first it is important to develop the right motivation and then try to understand what we are going to practice or what we are going to visualize during the practice of this sadhana. And we should try to learn as much as possible and try to understand clearly what is the real practice. And then at the end, we should dedicate. So explaining the teaching and practicing teaching is not the same. When we explain, we can explain in many different ways. This master is saying in this way and that master is saying in this way. So we can explain in many different ways, but when we practice, we cannot do like this. We have to choose one and then focus on that and then practice on that. And then at the end, we should do the dedicating in a very proper way. So if we do complete practice of Havajara sadhana, then it is very meaningful, meritorious, and very purposeful practice, and also it will become the real cause for us to gain liberation and eventually to attain the 13th Vajradhara state. So at the end, I would like to thank Lama Chodak for translating all these precious and profound teachings by the great masters. And also, I sincerely wish that may this book will be used in a proper way, and may many of you can get the light of this book, and it can eliminate the darkness of your mental continuum. So at the end, I would like to say that may the blessings of our root guru and the triple gem be with you now and always. Thank you.
Thank you, Holiness, for your priceless and precious words. Thank you very much. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our third speaker for this evening, and that is His Eminence Namrap Dakpo Shabdrung Rinpoche. Namrap Dakpo Shabdrung Rinpoche Nawang Khenrap Kel Sangtrin Le Lundrup. I'm sorry, Rinpoche, if I got that wrong. was born on 24th October 1988 in Gangtok, Sikkim in India. At the age of 11, he was recognized by His Holiness Kyabgon Gongma Sakya Trizin Rinpoche as the incarnation of Shabdrung Khalsang Gyaltsen. He was formally enthroned on the 14th of September 1999, and Rinpoche's seat is at Lokha Namrap Dakpo Monastery in Tibet, which was established in the 15th century. From 1999 to 2003, he studied at Jamchen Lakhang and later pursued higher education at the Sakya Institute of Higher Studies in Rajpur, India, graduating in 2014 with the titles of Kachupa and Lopon after a decade of rigorous study. He served as a review teacher at the Institute from 2013 to 2015, then became a lecturer at Sakya College, where he was enthroned as Khenpo or Abbot in 2018. Since 2020, Rinpoche has been residing in Taiwan, studying Mandarin. Please may I now request Dakpo Shabdrung Rinpoche to speak on Tsarchen's Rays of Sun, a valuable commentary on the He Vajra Sadhana.
My utmost respect to His Holiness, the 42nd Sakya Trizin Rinpoche, and also His Eminence Chogi Trizin Rinpoche, His Eminence Jisumala, and His Eminence Damo Kaldinla, and Rinpoche's Khenpola, and Sangha member, and my Dharma brothers and sisters. As per requested by our Lama Rinpoche, I'm here to speak. I'm here to share a short introduction of Tsarchen Losel Gyatso. So without further ado, I would like to share the biography of Tsarchen Losel Gyatso. So Tsarchen Losel Gyatso was born to Father Chogyal Rinchen Palsang of the Dong lineage and Mother Tashi Amso in Upper Tsang of Tibet in the year of 1502. At the age of 14, Tsarchen received his Upasak vow from Master Lodro Gyaltsen and followed monastic curriculum at Tsang Trashulhumbu Monastery. And he received novice monk vow from the second Dalai Lama, Gyalwang Gyindun Gyatso, and was given the monastic name Losel Gyatso. Because of Tsarchen's inflammatory sickness or disease that he has on his leg, the second Dalai Lama advised him to pay a visit to Dezhung Rinpoche for the treatment, because Dezhung Rinpoche, he was also a very well-known healer as well. And that when Tsarchen met Dezhung Rinpoche, his main teacher, for the first time, after Tsarchen returned to his monastery, one early morning in the monastery, Tsarchen met a lady, a mysterious one. And that lady said to Tsarchen, Master Doringpa needs you at Khau Trakzong immediately. And this is his gift for you and she gave Tsarchen a very small Tibetan book wrapped in cloth before she just naturally vanished. And it was not long before also an invitation letter to Tsarchen from the Master Dorjingpa himself arrived. And Tsarchen was very happy, and with great devotion he traveled all the way to Dorjingpa's hermitage of Khao Trakzong, very near Sakya Monastery. And Tsarchen showed Dorjingpa the Tibetan book which was given to him by that mysterious lady to prove of his encounter with that lady. And in response, Dorjingpa said to Tsarchen, this book contains the Vajrayogini cycle of teachings. So it looks like Vajrayogini went to fetch you here. And when Tsarchen was asked to put the book on the bookshelves by Master Dorjingpa, and he saw that there, in the middle of the pile of the books, there was one empty space, and that empty space, happened to be exactly the same size as the book that Tsarchen was holding in his hand. And when he slipped that book, in that empty space, and that book fits perfectly. And that's where Tsarchen, he realized that the book was originally from this shelf, and he felt a great faith arise within him. And it was then very obvious to Tsarchen that it was exactly the Vajrayogini had appeared to him in that monastery in order to lead him to this great Master Dorjingpa. And for 7 years, he engaged in Lamdre practices, received Lamdre Lopshe for 3 times and Tsokche for 2 times. Dezhung Rinpoche taught Tsarchen the entire Lamdre teaching and many other profound teachings as well. Those teachings were given to Tsarchen very personally and in private, where they were on walks, or sometime when they were having a tea together. At the age of 24, Tsarchen Losar Gyatso taught Lamdre at the great gathering in Pembo Nalanda Monastery, which is the seat of Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche in Tibet. And Tsarchen was universally praised and acclaimed for his great teaching and wisdom. By age of 31, he was ordained a Bhikshu vow of Kashmiri Pandita Shakyashiri lineage, officiated under the guidance of Chogyam Trungpa Gyaltsen and Chogyam Trashin Namgyal. Furthermore, Tsarchen offered a great service to his 63 prominent masters, receiving extensive teachings from them and also establishing the Dharma widely. Although Tsarchen was a fully ordained monk, Tsarchen Losar Gyatso spent most of his life as a traveler, a wanderer monk, traveling to many sacred sites, including Khao Trakzong, Mankar, and Churi, to engage in practice and propagate teachings. At age of 34, he served as an abbot of Thubdin Gepel Monastery, founded by Dezhung Rinpoche Gyaltsen. And the later age of 42, Tsarchen was enthroned at Tartu Chokur Monastery, which is also known as Dachamoche, Tsarchen's main monastery in Tibet. At age of 54, he ascended the throne of Sakya Shalukushang family as family monastery as a 13th abbot, which was built by Chitsun Shirab Jungne, and it was also this main seat of Podun Rinchen Ru, playing a pivotal role in safeguarding the traditions of Sakya lineage and preserving the principle of Sarpa, Ngurpa, Dzongpa, Podun, and all the lineage with his kindness, as it was clear that Tsarchen was being groomed to be the Dezhung Rinpoche's successor and master of Lamdre Lopshe. the Vajrayogini Tantric lineage transmitted by Tsarchen has been propagated within both Sakya and Gelug traditions. And one of the things about Tsarchen Losang Gyatso is that he was very well known for his writing in mixture of prose and verse poetry, because it is said that the goddess of fine arts, Saraswati, herself bestowed on him an incredible gift of extraordinary eloquence when he was in retreat. Thereafter, whatever he wrote, naturally came forth as a poetry. Even the fifth Dalai Lama has praised Tsarchen, saying that Saraswati have manifested in Tsarchen's throat and spoken. Then, in the fall of 1566, Lord Doringpa suddenly manifested to Tsarchen while he was meditative concentration. He said to Tsarchen, "Dharma Lord, come up," while gesturing again and again, and this vision indicates Tsarchen's great passing into parinirvana. And it is said that Tsarchen Losang Gyatso, he actualized the 13th level of Vajra holder in paradise of Kichara. So this would be the short introduction of Tsarchen Losang Gyatso. And at the end, my utmost respect and homage to our Vajradhara, Sakyakoma Teaching Rinpoche, and also our root guru, Sakya Chin Ratna Vajra Rinpoche, for the blessing, the compassion, and the love that we have been receiving for last 2 months. Thank you very much for it. And I also want to thank, the man of this hour, our translator, Lama Rinpoche, for bringing this work of translations to life, especially in another language. Your skill and dedication make it accessible for Lamdre practitioner, at least those who aspire to be one. Thank you for your invaluable work. Then finally, I would love to pray, to have more translator in different languages as well. And may this work of Lama Rinpoche aspire or inspire even more translators to come in near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rinpoche, for sharing those few words, those beautiful words, in fact, about Tsarchen Losang Gyatso. Our fourth speaker today, it is my pleasure to introduce Venerable Khenpo Choying Dorje. Khenpo is a respected Tibetan Buddhist scholar and the former abbot of Dzongsar Institute. He joined Dzongsar Khyentse Choki Lodro's Institute in 1992, where he studied under esteemed teachers such as Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk Rinpoche and several of Dzongsar's Khenchens. Khenpo received his Khenpo degree in 2004, and from 1998 to 2013 he taught at the Dzongsar Institute, and from 2013 to 2017 he served as its main abbot, holding various leadership roles during his tenure. In addition to his work at the Dzongsar Institute, Khenpo Choying Dorje is a member of the executive committee of 84,000, Translating the Words of the Buddha, an initiative founded by Kyabje Dzongsar Khyentse Rinpoche. And under the guidance of Khyentse Rinpoche, Khenpo has been entrusted with giving teachings and leading practices in Asia and beyond. So please may I now request Venerable Khenpo Choying Dorje to speak on Ngorchen Konchuk Lundup's middle and sadhana of Sri He Vajra.
tenchi tenchi ni kichi ni la chanze Lama rinchi taga ku doji chinja perandu. His Holiness 42nd Saja Throne Holder Jamgon Saja Kumarina Rinpoche, His Eminence Jabji Chubji Rinpoche, Her Eminence Jesuma Damokuyu, and the Venerable Campbells Nutukos, and distinguished guests, and Dhamma brothers and sisters. I am deeply honored to stand before you today to share a few words about these remarkable translation works of Lama Chuda Rinpoche, particularly the sadhana of glorious Hevajra, the middle link clear realization of glorious Hevajra, the beautiful ornaments of the six lamps. I would like to discuss two central aspects: the extraordinary life of middle link sadhana of the Sri Hevajra's author, and the profound significance of the sadhana itself. The author of this book is the Ngorchi Könchul Ludup. He was born in 1497 at Dezhung Saja capital, near Saja monastery in Tibet, to his father Kundruptar and a mother Lamupati, who was also great grand niece of Ngorchi Dojin Chukunga Zombo. At the age of 13, he traveled from Dzongsaja to Ngor Chuding and took monastery vows. Upon reaching 20, he received full ordination vows, and from that time forward, maintained the strict vegetarian, completely abstaining from meat, even garlic and onions. He mainly studied under his three root gurus, the seventh throne holder of Ngorba, Yongzin Könchul Fel, and the eighth throne holder of the Ngor, Michi Sangyerenchin, and the 22nd such a throne holder, Salon Jomba Doji, or his another name, such a Lotsawa Ngao Kungasunam. From these and many other masters, he received extensive teachings on empowerment of ripening and instructions of the liberation, as well as countless teachings on sutras, tantras, and spiritual instructions as vast as in ocean. From the age of the 25 until his passing, he continuously tuned the well of the Dharma for fortunate beings, bestowing empowerments for ripening and instruction for liberation, as well as whatever teachings were most appropriate for each individual. During his lifetime alone, he gave the Lamdre teachings 27 times. He began composing many invaluable and widely used treatises from the age of 31. His writings were especially precious and become foundational texts within the tradition. At age 38, he assumed the position of the throne holder at Ngor, serving in this role for nearly 24 years. Among the 78 throne holders from Ngorchi Dojin Chukunga Zombo until the present day, he was the 10th. And since the time of Ngochi Kunga Zombo passed into Mahaparinirvana, he served the longest tenure of any throne holder. At age 49, he became the root guru to His Holiness Sacha Goma, 23rd Sacha throne holder Nganchong Kunga Rinchen of Men Sacha Monastery, and Dakchen Kunga Sondup of Zedang. And regarding the middle length, clear realization of the glorious Hebajara, let me share some context. Generally, as mentioned above, Ngorchi Konchul Hundup composed many essential and widely used works. When I say widely used, I mean that any of his composition become tremendously important within the such a tradition. For example, while Master say like Kunchi Korampa and the Penchi Shechenchudin, Taksong Lotsawa were more famous and wrote more extensively, and indeed had great influence within the Tibetan Buddhism as a whole. Within the such a tradition itself, particularly among the practitioners, both lay and ordained, Konchul Hundup's influence was arguably greater. As example, in 1543, at the request of Dakchen Kunga Sondup of Zedang, he composed the Nosam Zeji, the ornament of the 3 visions. Later, in 1551, at age 56, at the request of both Dakchen Kunga Sondup and 23rd such a throne holder, Nganchung Kunga Rinchen, he composed the Jusum Zeji, the ornament of the 3 Tendras. Since then, these texts have become like a foundational handbook for Lamdre practitioners study and teach. From watching Dojin Chungkunga Zombo's lineage of the Lamdre, there are 2 types. The common oral tradition, widely known as Lamdre Tsuhe, and the non-common oral tradition, widely known as Lamdre Lopche. The Khenchen Ngawon Chuda, who studied under and rely on both lineage holding masters, he stated this in the concluding marks of his excellent explanation of the essence of 3 Tendras, which we just received from His Holiness. In this text of excellent explanation of the essence of 3 Tendra instruction, not only are the internal meaning the same, but he has stated that there are no words that do not exist in the Jusum Zeji, beautiful ornament of 3 Tendra composed by Ngorchi Konchul Hundup. So within the such a tradition, Ngorchi Konchul Hundup's writings are more widely used, more oftenly used than those of Korampa, Shakyanchudin, and Taksong Lotsawa. For instance, his middle-length sadhana of Shire Hebajara, composed in 1551 at Ngor when he was 55 years old, has been the primary daily practice text for most Hebajara practitioners for nearly 5 centuries. The sadhana, ornament of the 6 lamps, and ornament of the Bodhi mandala have been serving for ensuring that the river of the empowerment and the oral instruction tradition and the other 3 do not disappear. Speaking of the extremely precious sadhana of Shri Hebajara, the profound middle-length sadhana of the glorious Hebajara oral instruction tradition has now been translated into English, which is become like a global language by Lama Chuda Rinpoche after many years of dedicated effort. This is excellent news, especially for English-speaking Vajra practitioners. I have confidence that Lama Chuda Rinpoche's translation is excellent. The reason for this confidence is that Lama Chuda Rinpoche had many opportunities to study Vajra, and particularly the Lamdre teachings from the late Japje Chobje Tuji Rinpoche, who was considered an authoritative Lamdre master in recent times. Additionally, given his knowledge of the English, his depth familiarity with Western culture, customs, terminology, and his long-term practice, glorious Vajra, this makes him well qualified for this work. In the past, when Lotsawa Yishe received the Lamdre teachings from Panchen Gayadhara and translated it into Tibetan, he valued the teaching so highly that he offered an enormous amount of the gold as a mandala offering. Lotsawa was not wealthy. He had to seek additional resources to gather the 500 songs of the gold he offered. In Lotsawa's time, 500 gold songs, if calculate now, is 9 kilograms and 444 grams, about like that. What we can understand from this is how precious Rome considered these teachings. Now in present time, I consider it is great accomplishment that Lama Chuda has made available in English, this Vajra sadhana, along with commentary such as Rays of the Sun and Dezhung Rinpoche's Drop of Nectar. So I have great hope and confidence that English-speaking practitioners of glorious Vajra will recognize the value of these teachings and practice them sincerely. I also make strong aspirational prayers for this. Finally, I pray that the teachings of the path with its result spread and flourish in all directions and all times. We offer our deepest prayers for the longevity and the well-being of our root gurus, especially Jamgo Saja Kongma Tichi Dorjin Chong. I will also pray that all of the Lama Chuda Rinpoche's aspiration for this translation be fulfilled, bring benefits to countless beings across the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Khenpo, for those precious words, and also reminding us of how priceless these teachings are that we have received over the past 2 months, and obviously all the texts that we have received as well, and this precious text that His Eminence Chodak Rinpoche has translated and annotated. Thank you so much. It is my great honor and pleasure to introduce to you our final speaker today. It is His Eminence Dezhung Rinpoche. While Rinpoche needs little introduction, in fact none at all, for those who may not be familiar, His Eminence is the reincarnation of Dezhung Tenpai Nyima Rinpoche. He was born in Seattle, Washington on 12 November 1991 and was formally enthroned at Tharlam Monastery on the 8th of March 1994. Today, Rinpoche will be speaking on the esteemed Dezhung Anjam Rinpoche's Drop of Nectar, which is a significant commentary on Vajra. In particular, this text explores the teachings on how practitioners should integrate view, action, and meditation in their practice. There is a deep generational connection between Dezhung Anjam Rinpoche, the author of this text, and the third Dezhung Kunga Tenpai Nyima Rinpoche, the predecessor of His Eminence Dezhung Rinpoche, who is known to have been the incarnation of Dezhung Rinpoche's uncle. Now, without further delay, please join me in welcoming His Eminence Dezhung Rinpoche to share his insights on Dezhung Rinpoche's drop of nectar.
His Holiness Sagyar Goma Tizin Rinpoche, His Eminence Chubgyu Tizin Rinpoche, Her Eminence Jitsuma and Dhammakalde, my Lama brother Dapo Shaptong, and Venerable Kimbo Chuing and our Lotsawa Lama Chodak. In my defense, I was promised a piece of paper to read, which regretfully I did not get. And I only got a 2-day notice. With everything else, I regretfully couldn't prepare very much. So please forgive my mumble jumble that I'm about to say. Now, I think I want to start with my connection with Lama Chodak. I first met Lama Chodak Rinpoche in Lumbini when our great master, His Eminence Chubgyu Tizin Rinpoche, gave the Bhaja Yogini empowerments and explanation. I remember being really impressed because I struggled to understand His Eminence Chubgyu Tizin Rinpoche's speech, and Lama Chodak, he never had any issue translating it. And later, I received word from Lama Chodak Rinpoche and His Holiness that after we had requested Lamdre here, His Holiness had requested Lama Chodak Rinpoche to translate Benchen Awan Chodak's 3 visions, and His Holiness Goma Tizin 41st has given Lamdre more than a dozen times, and His Holiness Sagyar Goma 42nd has also given in more than half a dozen, but it has never been translated till now. So it was a great honor that I was able to support Lama Chodak Rinpoche and have the book distributed during Lamdre, and now the new book as well. Now, I was told to speak about the relations of Dezhung Rinpoche in Tharlam and the previous Dezhung Rinpoche. And I think first we have to start with Gadung Legpa, who was Dezhung Rinpoche's master. Now, Dezhung Rinpoche's biography is so vast, there's no way I could finish all of it, nor do I know, nor do I have the time. But I'll try to go from the most important aspects I saw from Gadung Legpa, and then it continue on to modern times. So Gadung Legpa, for example, his 2 most, uncommon qualities, most valuable qualities is that first, it is his devotion to his guru. When he went to receive teachings and empowerment from Khyentse Wangpo had kicked him out 6 times. First he sat in the front line, then Khyentse Wangpo said, "Who is that black-skinned beggar? Kick him out." And he sat little lower, and he did it again and again and again. And finally, after the 6th time, Gadung Legpa, he made an oath to his guru saying that I will receive these teachings and I will pass on these teachings to his reincarnation, and that's what he did. And another, his quality is the amount of sheer effort he put into practice. He went into retreat to do the He Bajra for almost 16 years. He completed all of the Ngondos more than 1 million times. It's like 1.6 million, 2.2 million. It's outrageous. And he made an oath that he would not exit his retreat house without reaching the first bhumi. And he spent 16 months just focusing on He Bajra's central eye. And his disciple, Dezhung Rinpoche. For example, when my previous 3rd Dezhung Rinpoche was recognized, we originally come from Dezhung Monastery in Lithang. And when Gadung Legpa, he had already known who the 3rd Dezhung Rinpoche was, and he trained him as a disciple. So later when Dezhung Rinpoche came to request that, Gadung Legpa refused, saying that Tharlam needs Dezhung Rinpoche. And it kind of makes me think that looking at the the 20th century history, maybe Tharlam needed Rinpoche, or Tharlam might have been able to survive. And the Dezhung Rinpoche's main disciple is Kimbo Abe Rinpoche, Khenchen Abe Rinpoche, who is my guru as well as the gurus of my other gurus, His Holiness Gongma Tizin 42nd, as well as Khenchen Sonam Gyatso. In Khenchen Abe Rinpoche, for example, when I was very young, I didn't really know who he was. And I remember that he would never let me sit below him, even though he was such a great master. I remember even at the IBA, I was, I think, maybe 11 or something. So I saw this elderly man, and he said, please sit up here. And I was going through, my teacher said, no. And Khenchen Abe Rinpoche said, no, let him sit. Of course, later I got a big scolding, but I didn't know at that time. And for example, right now, in Tibet, there's Gadong Leba's reincarnation. He's now 64 years old. He is beyond unbelievably humble. He came here once to Nepal. He would not let us prepare anything special. When he traveled to India for pilgrimage, you couldn't tell the difference between him and any regular monk. And now, the reincarnation of Dezhung Rinpoche, who is now a few years older than me, he drives me insane. He came to India once, and we were traveling together in a train. He did not sleep all night. Why? Because I was on this bunk, he was on this bunk. He watched over me all night. Every time I turned over, he would help put the blankets on. Then I went to Tibet, where I met him at Gadong Legba, and he would not even move a finger if Gadong Legba did not order him to. And I'm very pale comparison of just how great these masters are. And now from the legacy of the Lamdre and Tharlam, Gadong Legba, who is an example of what a regular person can become in terms of practicing. Tibet has a very common saying, which I believe His Holiness will also not agree with, is that the prayers should be done by the lamas, not by regular people. It's very common, even now when I speak to regular people, I will say, please pray for me, pray for our gurus. They say, the guru will pray. If the guru prayers worked, all of us would be enlightened. The gurus are, for example, His Holiness 42nd is a true enlightened Buddha who came here to guide us. He doesn't need to be here, but he's here for us. And we are not doing our duty if we are not practicing. And Gadong Legba is that example. He was a humble, plain monk. He was not a reincarnation of anyone, but he spent 16 years and he became the master of many of the great lamas. And then, from the great Kon family, for example, I couldn't find any history in the past, but within the last 50 years, there's been 3 Lamdres given by them, 2 by His Holiness Dezhung Rinpoche, and now 1 by Her Holiness 42nd. And all of them have been here in Tharlam. We're not supposed to believe in coincidences, so maybe this is karma or fate, that Gadong Legba, when he recognized the 3rd Dezhung Rinpoche, and he made him stay at Tharlam, and when Dezhung Rinpoche requested him to please give him to Dezhung Monastery in Tibet, he didn't. Maybe Gadong Legba foresaw that Nepal needed Tharlam. And in order for the great Kon masters, Kon lineage, Sakya lineage, to be able to give Lamdre, Tharlam needed to be here for that foundation. Maybe this is why it happened. Now, please forgive me if I sounded any arrogance anyway. And now I want to speak a bit more about His Holiness Sakya Gongma teaching as well as Holiness 42nd. They are the most beautiful beings I've ever seen. Why? His Holiness Gongma teaching, his father, for example, within the 2 months I was able to stay with him. I lived right below his room. Never a single moment was there a time he was not serving other people. When anyone came to visit him, request anything, he never says no. I don't know if he knows how to say no. It doesn't matter how tired he is. He mentioned to me this morning, at lunchtime, he said, he's been so busy, he has not been able to write his diary, and he hopes by going to Chitwan, he can write his diary. And His Holiness 42nd Ngogma Dezhung Rinpoche, he has given all the transmissions, all the empowerments, without ever asking anyone else to do. He spent 9 hours every day teaching, uncounting the practices he has to do. After he finished his teaching, whenever people go to visit him, he always sees them. He has truly inherited his father's loving kindness and compassion. And I have to say, I feel guilty that someone like me, and a competent, uneducated person, has to be here, unable to serve them way better than they deserve. And I apologize on behalf of Tharlam. There's been lots of problems along the way, and I hope that the newer generation of disciples will step up and continue to be able to serve the gurus so that they can come again many, many times and teach again. And finally, I want to thank Lotsawa Lama Choda for translating numerous texts throughout the years. He is, I truly believe, one of the greatest Lotsawas we have of modern times. And he mentioned earlier that the 31 Lamdre texts haven't been translated, and I kind of want to request him if he can translate all 31 too in the future. So that is my request. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rinpoche, for your heartfelt talk. I really don't have any more words to express the feeling right now. May I request Lama Chodak Rinpoche, because we've come to the tail end of our program today, to speak a few words.
I think most of you are fairly hungry and cold. Cold, hell, hungry do go together. We have to have some experience of coldness and hunger while being in His Holiness' presence. Well, I would like to take this opportunity before I conclude for Your Holiness to present some of these books that are to these some of the people on the podium who was very, very important to on this occasion, as well as for the Lamdre and for the Sakya tradition, I can see. And one is your really beautiful wife, Dharma Kushola, and she's really special. And how can I not have the book presented by Your Holiness to her? So that's the first one. Others has been presented, so I will not. But one is to Mustang Raja, because I remember Mustang Raja as a Gyalchungla, a very tiny boy, when I visited Mustang. And of course his glorious father, Lord Gyalpo, who is his Chogye Trijang Rinpoche's nephew, and he made it really possible for the seat of the Tsarpa to be built in Lumbini, Tashi Rapten Ling, and then subsequently new Tashi Rapten Ling. And people like me were playing in sand and sleeping in the night time in the sand because Lumbini is so hot. So we didn't have any bedding, we just slept in the sand. But Lord Gyalpo and Kushokri Tunla travel all the way from Mustang every year, spend few months and helping their revered uncle to build monastery. So I have very fond memories of the whole family, and that's very good that he's here and his beautiful wife. So And the next, we have three gentlemen, and of course not three gentlemen, and two gentlemen and one madam here, who belong to Byoma Kusuma Buddha Dhamma Sangha, whose contribution has made very special in Nepal, particularly those Sakya Tibetan community have been really incredibly inspired by their Excellence Rana Rinpoche's leadership and how they have been supporting unflaggingly the Dhamma in Nepal. So how fitting would be to have this book presented to Mukundaji and Naren and Pratishtha, three of you. Please approach His Holiness. And the last but not least is the big Khenpo on the far corner. Khenpo Kerawang Chula has been instrumental helping, and he was thanking me for translating books in English. So you should read this, Khenpo La. So with that, we wouldn't hold you very long, but I will take some questions. I think it would be more appropriate His Holiness took leave at the end. But I would like to say that this book, as we had three of the speakers mention very clearly how important each of the authors are. I feel quite honored just to be touching their books, let alone translating in one volume. So Sakya lineage owes great to likes of Ngorchen Konchol Lundrup. And Ngorchen Konchol Lundrup's writing is actually beautified Sakya lineage practitioners. His works are called beautiful ornaments, all his works are Zegen. Zegen means beautiful ornament, and he has definitely made the practitioner more beautiful. And if you can go deep into it, so of course all of our speakers have done an incredible research for presenting. So I would like to thank all of them for being here, and particularly Your Holiness, because you had such a tight schedule, and I thought you were going to go after your speech, but you've stayed there since all this time. So I feel embarrassed to take questions in front of you. So I think we pay His Holiness. Knowing that we have kitchen staff and everything, I think people should have food. Yeah, if you want to ask questions, just talk to me while mulling around, because we don't want to hold you in the cold hell. Even though it's a good opportunity, but because feel free to be fairly sort of informal, to eat around and talk to, and I'm sure our venerable speakers will be quite happy to talk to you if they wouldn't mind. So I think with that, I would like to thank particularly Rana Guruji's wonderful Sangha community that has really helped me to, out of surprise, made to publish this book, because all the Buddhists are very organized. They get their sponsors behind the back, and I am not good at asking people to sponsor anything. Because I live in the West, you pay your own cup of tea yourself. You don't ask other people to pay, let alone publish a book. But when I start talking about getting the books, and they just came forward, and my concerns were completely vanished because of their generous help. And not only that, they also help to publish most of the texts that you've been given to. So we owe a great appreciation to Byoma Kusuma Buddha Dharma Sangha. So thank you very much. And of course, Dezhung Rinpoche, his vision of having Lamdre made us all know each other. Otherwise, we wouldn't have met. So we are really fortunate. And Rinpoche mentioned the Lamdre Foundation and requesting him to, people should always come to contact here, Palam Monastery, feel home. And the Sangha here is incredible for little boys, carrying the big buckets bigger than themselves, serving us every day. And Rinpoche talked there, they say there were problems. We don't see any problems there. Everything run very smoothly. And so how generously have we been treated. So we owe a great, not only thank you to Rinpoche, but really should practice very carefully, like the Gatung Awan Legpa and Dezhung Anjam likes. And so try to learn the examples and make Dezhung Rinpoche feel proud that he not only hosted Lamdre, but there are practitioners who may go into the caves and do retreats and promise not to come out unless they do second bhumi. So thank you very much, everybody.
Well, that's it. We can all go home now. Have dinner first, please. And any questions that you might like to ask Rinpoches and Khenpo over here, you would like to interact with over dinner, you're free to do so. Thank you so much. Thanks again. One at a time, please. For dinner, you have to go to the foreigners section. Where, I think you can see it's pretty visible from here, so if you can please go over for food.
Thank you, sir.